please check out this clip I made from the finale commentary about a month ago, titled Benioff and Weiss Gaslighting Emilia Clarke About the Coffee Cup in Season 8.
Go on.
Emilia, I think it's time now for you to come clean about that coffee cup.
Come on!
Come on.
Was it your coffee cup?
It wasn't mine! No! I have
admit,
established
you know what?
coffee.
You're going to feel so much better. It was
I
established.
think that was established.
That was a
coffee.
cup from established coffee.
And
you know what? It's time that we...
Yep. This bus is real heavy you just threw me under.
No, if you zoom in on that shot, you can see
I can
it
see your
says
fingerprints.
Amelia.
No, it doesn't!
It says
not
fingerprints
no,
on it.
So people,
Maisie.
thank you for the hate mail, but please send it to Amelia.
Please,
The whole clip is longer than that, please check it out, but it's upsetting that he's not just playfully joking the way he says it, like punctuating it with a laugh or a chuckle so it's clear he's pretending to claim something that isn't true for comedic effect. Like, haha, that sure was your coffee cup, Amelia. Why, you're always leaving coffee cups all over the place. No, it wasn't. He's not saying it like that. He's gaslighting her, going in this flat voice, it was yours, Emilia. You really should own up to it. In that flat tone, that serious voice, that to a third party, it's not even clear that he's joking. And he does that to prank people. And now we have the clip from the Hollywood Reporter podcast that Emilia Clarke gave.
So at the end, I mean, I had so much adrenaline. I don't know. It was like I was on drugs. It was so intense. And so then I said at the end, like, is there anything else I can do? Is there something you need me to do other than that? Because I'm ready.
Right.
Because I'm ready.
Come a long way.
Yeah. And then David Benioff in all his hilarity was like, well, you could do a dance. Funny. Now I know it's just funny. Don't always do what David Benioff tells you to do.
Right.
And then I did. Did the funky chicken, because what else do you do when you've got that much adrenaline and you're a kid and you're not willowy and you're doing everything you can?
Yeah, the coffee cup remarks on the Blu-ray, those were not an isolated incident when I made that previous clip about them. Clarke confirmed in her short comment in the podcast here that Benioff is like that all the time. It's a pervasive pattern of behavior, that he just has a warped sense of humor like that he enjoys lying to people in a deadpan serious tone to the point you can't tell does he mean that or not. And what would make someone like that?
You know, and that's the way it's been since I was a kid, and I think, you know, I've always known I wanted to be a writer, and there's the great I.B. Singer line where he said, when I was a child they called me a liar and now they call me a writer, and I think it was for me the same, where I was kind of a pathological liar as a child. And when I was in second grade, we had an assignment in class to write about what our father did for a living, and I said he was a submarine commander, and the teacher thought this was really suspicious since we lived in New York City and there probably weren't that many submarine commander fathers in the class, and called in my parents to speak to them about their son, the liar. And my parents thought it was really funny, but you know, I definitely got the lesson fairly early that it's not socially acceptable to be a pathological liar, and you should maybe try to channel these imaginings into a more productive outlet and
into a lucrative career.
Into a lucrative career, yeah, exactly. I think the heaviness for me is when I actually have to write. Like, thinking of the ideas is fun for me. It's the actual writing part that's painful.
Yeah.
That was the Bibliostar interview. That's a major one of these. But he said it in a few other interviews too. He says it in this warm, friendly voice, or he's punctuating it with a joke, even though what he's saying is actually deeply unsettling. That, yet focus on the informational content, that he's saying, oh yeah, I've been a pathological liar since I was 6 years old in the second grade. Wait, what? And these are the words he uses. I was a pathological liar as a child. And he goes on to talk about in the full thing how he just kept doing that. Well, I'm so good at making up lies, I'll go into fiction writing. And actually, that doesn't translate well into writing long-form fiction, because in novels and TV shows, he actually goes on to say in it, well, I'm actually really bad at story structure, that he keep getting rejection letters from publishers saying, you're moderately good at coming up with amusing anecdotes, but your stories as a whole are filled with plot holes, the structure is terrible, it doesn't add up coherently. Things that were problems on Game of Thrones were problems with his earlier writing career, and people should have noticed. But just him saying that, oh, I was lying as a 6-year-old all the time like that. He's like this immature, bratty 13-year-old in an adult's body. Now, if you're new to all of this, you haven't seen the clips, if all you've seen is HBO's own videos, I don't know how much you'll recognize that, but you see like his Comic-Con performances, third-party videos by things that aren't HBO, that aren't edited, where he's behaving really insulting and immature, that he's just this child in an adult's body. And just how crass he is, that he's trying to act like a cool older kid, where he'll be drinking, where they're not at Comic-Con, or making flippant locker room talk crass jokes, and cursing. He curses a lot because he thinks it makes him sound cool. It's like he's trying to impress his father or the older boys or something. Just when you see his unedited stuff, this guy has issues. The one we're going to focus on for right now, for one of the ways he makes up for his inner insecurities, is feeling powerful by lying to people. Just all the time. And to bring this all together with all the evidence we've gathered about David Benioff, now with the new stuff from this 2018 Hollywood Reporter interview, Emilia Clarke confirmed in it that, yeah, that way he was acting in the Season 8 Blu-ray clip, pressuring her about the coffee cup on screen, that wasn't an isolated incident. That was just one lucky moment where we happened to catch this on camera, catch on microphone, of him doing this, but she said, oh, he's like that half the time, to the point you can't tell if he's serious or if he's joking. And I've heard her tell some of the story of her audition before, that, oh yeah, I did the funky chicken dance, and it was funny, but as so often happens, when you get the full context of what they really did, it's actually not amusing and upsetting. And she said, well, actually what happened was I was so nervous that at the end of the audition, when I had finished, I desperately said, hey, is there anything else I can do to impress you guys? And Benioff said, in his way, you could dance. But he was joking. She said, only retroactively did I realize it was a joke. He wasn't being serious. But he says things in this deadpan, flat, serious tone just to screw with people. And again, not my word for it, Emilia's the one saying in that clip that that's what David is like. I learned this is common for him. And you put all this stuff together in a row, it is a pattern of behavior. This is not the first time, it's not the last time. What upsets me is, in the early years of the TV show, like many of you, I bought into the fake narrative that HBO's PR team put out. All the behind-the-scenes videos saying how amazing Benioff and Weiss are. I'm not special. I bought into it. I didn't have enough information. Why would I think differently? No, they're really covering up that they're this incompetent. That just doesn't happen. But, I bought into that everything we're doing is fun, and that they really presented it as, we're all these zany friends, and everything we do on set is a huge party. And only later did it really leak out that, well, no, we're miserable. They don't know how to run this. They're really incompetent. We're always behind schedule. It's just directors who you saw smiling and saying how great they were in, like, season 3. We know from, like, other leaks, no, these people were tearing their hair out over this guy. He's crazy. It's all for the camera. Well, one specific aspect of that related to this is, many of you may remember this, tell me in the comments, the positive spin they put on certain things, that you go back and, like the Emilia audition story, you look back on it in this new light of the full context, and that wasn't funny, that was a red flag. Like, they joke about, oh, the first pilot failed, that's just one of those things, and it's, in retrospect, that was a warning sign, because the reasons it failed were the same problems later seasons had, that you don't know basic screenwriting principles, that you don't put instructions about the plot in script notes that the audience can't see because they're not in the dialogue parts. And they never got over that problem. But specifically what I'm building up to is, we've heard for years about Benioff pranking the cast and crew like that. telling them lies, but in a serious way, and tricking them into thinking they're real. Not, haha, Emilia, that sure was your coffee cup stuff, or not like, oh, he pranks people by hiding a whoopee cushion on their chair, or hiding the prop sword for Arya's needle in a jello mold or something. Those are pranks. This isn't that. His pranks are always and consistently in the form of lies. Not like throwing a pie in someone's face, but his pranks are tricking people into thinking untrue things are real. And of course, I say Benioff in this, if I'm pretty deep in this, but you wonder why I haven't mentioned Weiss. Benioff is the guy in charge. Weiss is a glorified secretary for him. And when you look at all their videos, and I talk about this in the main series, Weiss is just the first Brian Cogman. That he's an assistant he promoted up, that Benioff needed a prop, because the writing duo of Benioff and Weiss sounds a lot better than, "Hi, I'm David Benioff. I'm going to write the entire show myself, without a full writing staff." That doesn't sound as good as when you act like, well, we're the writing duo of Benioff and Weiss. It sounds more respectable. So Weiss is just a prop for him. Like, if he was a prop comic, Weiss is a stage prop for Benioff. But getting back at things, like I said, back me up on the comments in this. How many of you remember how they played up and put a positive spin on the times that Benioff would prank people with fake scripts in the early seasons? Which is just lying. And I remember seeing this stuff even in season 1, and it's just retroactively, I can't believe I laughed at that, because they framed it like that. In season 1, they gave Kit Harington a fake script for the episode where he kills his first white. He throws a lantern at it to burn it. And in the fake script, his hair catches fire and his face gets severely burned. And that was pretty clearly a fake. That isn't a good example. I mean, even Kit was pretty sure that was a fake. But the next one in season 2, Alfie Allen got a script where Theon, he's in Winterfell, but at the last minute, Hodor rushes up and stabs him with Bran riding on him. And it was just realistic enough that he thought, oh, I guess they're streamlining and condensing out the rest of Theon's story arc. If you were going to do that, that's not the craziest way to wrap it up. And they laugh about this later. Alfie Allen didn't even know it was a fake script until we told him much later. And, in retrospect, without the positive spin they presented it with, that is upsetting. That isn't a normal thing a mature adult showrunner should be doing, sending the cast members scripts that aren't obviously gag scripts, but just silly enough that, like, wait, is my character really being killed off this season because they're killing off other people who are alive in the books? What's going on here? Fake scripts that seem plausible enough they don't even realize they're fake. And then Benioff calls himself clever. That smug way. He thinks he's smart for tricking his own employees. That really isn't funny, and it was one way. It was always him to them. He did ask them, hey, what fun pranks did you play on David Benioff? Well, none. He's our boss. That it was him having fun screwing with people and lying. It wasn't like, again, whoopee cushions or something, or something fake. It's he'd let them think for a while something was real, only to then go, oh yeah, you believed me. That saying things in a deadpan voice, serious, or presenting a script as if it's real, that's funny to him. And this got really awkward in later seasons because it got ingrained in the mythos that they crafted for themselves about the experience of making the show. That, oh, we're this great fun team. Like, it became part of the mythology around the show that, oh, we always prank each other on set every year. That it was them putting a positive spin on him actually being pretty abusive about this and childish. And it's not we have pranks, it's Benioff pranks us. And it got really awkward that by season 5, Benioff wasn't doing convention panels anymore, but whenever the cast would show up to these things, they'd ask them, these vapid hype reporters would be asking the same rote questions. Hey, who's your favorite character? Where'd you like to live? And there'd always be one going, hey guys, what fun pranks did you play on each other on set this year? What are they going to say? Have like Sophie Turner say, well, I thought I'd have my book storyline this year, but they sure pranked me when they gave me this rape subplot in the script. Things like that. And by season 8, like, if you haven't seen the montage I did of the Last Watch documentary on my channel, it's on my homepage, please do that. That just how much suffering the cast went through on that Last Watch documentary, the long night shoot for that. The 55 days, middle of winter at night, and when you see they're crying, they haven't seen their family, would someone like walk up to the prosthetics department head and go, hey, what fun pranks did David Benioff play on you this year behind the scenes? Well, were they going to say this whole season was a prank, man? But for those of us who went through the whole thing, that there was that awkward phase when they'd ask, what was this year's prank? And it's, dude, we just went through the White Hunt and the Sansa rape and all this other shit. This isn't funny anymore. But they kept acting like that persona of we're these fun, zany guys. So you see the spin they were putting on it, and just retroactively, this is like, they're describing with those scripts, the fake script pranks, are pretty much what Benioff was doing in that Blu-ray clip, gaslighting her about the coffee cup. That's his sense of humor, and what she said in the Hollywood Reporter interview was just confirming he's like that all the time. And it's upsetting, because really imagine having a boss like that. That he's so immature and moreover unqualified that he'd be asking him to do absurd things, and he'd be serious sometimes, like, oh, you think it'll take 6 weeks to film that horse charge? Do it in 2 weeks, because I say so. And or build a fully realized Winterfell set. How do you know that's a joke, or that he's so out of touch and unqualified that he means that? So half the time they'd be getting these absurd requests, and half the time they're real, and half the time it's just him screwing with them. To the point you don't know what's real anymore. And that's what gaslighting is. Gaslighting is an abuse tactic, the systemic attempt by one person to erode another person's reality by telling them that what they are experiencing isn't so, and the gradual giving up on the part of the other person. When you're gaslighting someone like that to the point they don't know what's real and what's not, it makes the abuse victim malleable and controllable. Just bludgeoning us with, there is no graphite on the ground at Chernobyl from shards of the reactor core. There was no explosion. You didn't see any graphite shards. That's what gaslighting is. Well, what Benioff does isn't quite that specific, and let me be clear, this isn't part of some grand scheme he has. He does it pervasively. It's a switch he just can't turn off. He's the little toddler lying all the time. To get that rush, that juvenile emotional kick out of it. And he's not lying about things that have already happened, but he's doing the more generalized form of it, which is denying someone else's perception of reality to cause confusion. That when people aren't certain what's real, is this a fake request? Because he makes these serious jokes, which when you're dealing with a multi-million-dollar huge TV production with thousands of people, now is not the time to be making these jokes that are pranks framed as serious requests. The boy who cried wolf, damn it. Then other times when he does say really silly things, they didn't know if it was fake or not. And they could no longer perceive what was a prank, and it taught them to stop asking questions. And that's one of the ways they got away with a lot of stuff, because they only see their small part of it. I mean, how many times have you heard a cast or crew member, not just for Season 8, but particularly for Season 8, how many times have you heard cast and crew saying, oh yeah, the first time Benioff told me about this unusual or controversial thing that we're doing this year, when he first told me, I thought he was joking. Like, this is the full context of what they're talking about. That it's not, oh yeah, I thought that was a joke. It's Benioff lies to us and gaslights us so many times, and his serious writing attempts are so ridiculous that it's hard to distinguish them from his pranks. The big primary example I'm thinking of at the moment, the obvious example, is Bran Stark being king of Westeros. that remember what the actor Isaac Hempstead Wright said of how he found out about it. They didn't, they never pull someone aside to give them a pep talk in their office or a phone call or anything. He found out by reading the script cold, and he said, the first time I was informed about this, I thought Benioff was joking. That's what he means. Like, this is another prank script, isn't it? Because we all know about the prank script, and this was something really bad they were doing, like the prank script on Alfie Allen. That is not normal. That is not mature. This isn't some frat party where you're pranking people, drawing stuff on their faces when they're passed out. And what's so weird is I was laughing along with this like a laugh track in season 3, because their PR team did a good job of framing it as, hey, we're all zany and having fun here. But if you pay attention, it was always Benioff having fun at other people's expense. Lying at their expense. And it's that whole toddler and adult's body, he needs to control things that way. And it's not part of a long-term plan. He does it for little things, and it's just deeply annoying as a character trait. It's not proof of anything bigger than this, other than that this is what his real personality is like when he's not smiling on the red carpet. That, yeah, that clip wasn't isolated. In the Hollywood Reporter thing, Emilia Clarke saying, yeah, when you work for Benioff long enough, you realize he has this warped sense of humor where you can't tell if he's screwing with you by giving you a fake request. That isn't a good thing. And he's doing it to get a rise out of people, getting a rush out of lying like that. And it's nothing to do with production or anything. I just want to point this out to you guys. It's what we already suspected. It's just Emilia admitting it, and I'll use this more in other videos. Like, I would be uncomfortable working with him or being in a room with him. He's constantly pranking and tricking other people. He's this fidgety toddler, and he has no self-control. And it all builds together like that.
So that leads into the second to last one. Like, how long have you known where this is going to end? How this is going to end?
I don't know that I even do now.
In the middle of shooting this season. So these are 6 episodes of the final season, which comes out in 2019. You're saying in the middle of doing it.
I think they're filming a bunch of stuff and they're not telling us. Being serious and being deadly serious. I think that they don't even trust us.
So you don't know who ends up on the throne?
No. I don't even know. I read what I read last year. I've read those scripts. Holy moly. Took me a couple of hours to come down from that. That was like the most intense
But you did not read
reading
the
experience
last
of my life.
episode.
I did, and since then, people are saying something on set, and you're just like, I think that they're filming other stuff, and everyone's being really cagey about it.
Maybe they.
And then there's a lot of like, wait, wait a second, because there's lots of different endings that could happen that I think that we're all doing all of them, and we aren't being told which is actually what's going to happen.
My God.